Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Reminded me of my year as a VT some time ago, as you can see. I was in a village in the northeast of England, and my nurse left the room. Next thing, there's an absolute chaotic noise, bish bang, scream, tear, rip. Don't know what on earth has gone on in the waiting room till the receptionist comes through. It turns out my nurse, who'd been particularly friendly with some bloke in the village the night before, just met the girlfriend. That was before nurse registration, thank goodness. So we should write these books, we should write these books of events. Sure. So can we have some questions for Michael, please? Perhaps some of the trainers as well who are here maybe would like to contribute to the debate about life, the universe and everything.
Looks like I've covered everything. That's great. It looks like I've covered everything.
Covered everything.
Yeah.
Some careers advice from an older colleague, maybe. There we go.
Michael, thank you. We do hear a lot about pressure when you become associates and the number of UDAs and different kind of stresses. Can you comment on your experience of what the average UDA contract should be for a post-VT?
Everyone's different. I remember when I was VT, there used to be a figure, I think it was around 1,800 UDAs or so, that was said is the amount you're meant to complete as VT. The current contract I'm doing is 4,000 UDAs within the year, and that seems quite reasonable. Others, they have other contracts which ask for about 6,000, 7,000. I found colleagues who are doing that are under a lot of pressure. If you want to do your dentistry well, you've got to be thinking about how much time you want to spend. And we're all different. For example, I can do crown preps quite quickly, even though I thought the number of crown preps I actually did in my first 3 weeks of VT were more than I think I did the whole of dental school. But it's just one of those things. You build up those skills and you pass through those. Endos, I still like to take a bit of time. So everyone's different. So you've got to see which aspects you're good at, which ones how much time you spend with them. And in that respect, then build up an idea of how much you want to do. But I find 4,000 is quite good for me. Anything sort of around that figure.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you, sir.
Yesterday we were at the Careers Day and they said that the MGDF exam isn't as important to do. So what's your viewpoint on that?
I found it really, really useful because I'll be honest, when you're going through finals, there's just so much stress. And in some ways, it does all come together. You have that moment, and we all have it coming up to just a couple of weeks before, when you suddenly realize everything you've been learning kind of starts fitting together, and you think, why didn't I think of this in this way at the beginning? But then MJDF really kind of focused it for me as to how to do sort of best practice or getting towards best practice. So in that respect, it's absolutely valuable and I really enjoy it. And even though they say it's not a necessary requirement for specialist training and so on, it's still looked at very favourably. So if you do have it, it is something that is useful. But the cost of it is prohibitive to some people. When you look about the amount of money you need to spend to do it, people go on these one-day courses and so on to do revision courses and so on. So it does all add up. But if you're able to do that, and the key skills portfolio, I know at the Royal College of Surgeons England, they kind of say you don't necessarily need that to complete it. But when you have all of that together, you've actually got quite a good basis for running a practice because you've put all those measures together. So it is valuable.
Thank you.
I think there's a lot of people who have done the exam, seen the value in the process, and I think you'll struggle to find people who regret doing it, regret doing the training. And I would add, whilst you've done your finals, you've got the brain matter working, don't wait 15 years till the cobwebs have clouded the issue and try again, because it took me a long time before I could kick into working again to do my MJDF mid-30s, late 30s. So whilst the information is there, I would say, my own view, consider it, because you've got the information, you're now getting the experience, and you put it all together with the MJDF, and that's when you've then got the knowledge for the practice. And I would, from my point of view, and sure a lot of my colleagues and trainers would say, it's not devalued really. It has value, definitely.
If any of you are based in North London, end of the month on the 28th, I'm organising a little sort of study evening type thing, which is free for B-Day members and £5 for others to come. And if you want to just talk about MJJF, if you're in the middle of it, but it's through the BDA that we're doing it and our local section. But I think just talk to people who've done the exam, because it is really useful. And I found it was useful in practice and also when I was doing my hospital job. So we can't shy away from it, even though there's a saying that says sometimes just because something's legal doesn't mean it's right. And in some ways, just because it isn't necessarily required to get into things, maybe it is something that is beneficial. So I wouldn't turn off from the idea just because they said you don't definitely need it for specialist training.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Yeah, sorry. Got one down at the front there.
I also had 3 questions sent through to me in the post as well. So once the questions are done, I'll just run through that because someone said they'll be in the audience, so it might be their questions that I can answer, hopefully.
My question is just about the Young Dentist Committee, then you have the BDA, the Young Dentist, and then you have the LDC, which you mentioned. So like, I'm for the Metropolitan branch, but even now I still haven't heard much from the Young Dentist side. And the LDC as a VT, it's not really applicable in the sense because you're a VT, you're very unlikely to be in that area for a year. So, and it's not really aimed at young dentists.
Absolutely. I found getting involved quite tricky, I'll be honest with you. So let's start with the LDC first. At the LDC that I'm at, which is Enfield and Haringey, it was very hard to find out when the meetings were for a start, but then eventually found out where they were and did a special knock on the door to get in and all that business. And then I realised everyone there was a practice owner. There was one person who got elected onto it at the same time as me at the AGM, who's an associate. So it felt a little bit like we weren't necessarily considered for a lot of things. And a lot of it's because you're dealing with the PCT and contracts and requirements and things like that. But at some point, for my sins, I'm an Arsenal fan. So youth is important to me coming through the team and all that kind of stuff. And the same thing in dentistry. If these people are closing the door and not letting young dentists find out how things work, it's really challenging. So I say just keep knocking harder and try and get in. So that's first of all with the LDC. And since I've been there, I've learned a lot that I've been taking to other associates in the area, and that's been helping. With the BDA Young Dentist Committee, I think with a lot of committees, things go up and things go down, and sometimes they stay down for a while. And I joined up about 1.5 years ago. And we've started to build. We've put this document together. We've actually got regular meetings now. I've been given the job of communication and social media, so I've got to learn how to tweet, all that kind of stuff, to just raise the profile, because we are trying to do good stuff and important stuff, and the people higher up in the chain ask our opinions, or ask the committee the opinions, but we need to have a wide spread. So our last meeting, which was a couple of weeks ago, we had a lot of people, but before it was based on you had to be a member of your branch, and then from your branch you would be selected and then you would be sent. But now we've opened it up to say, look, if you're interested, come along. If you've got 3 people from that branch, it's fine, because they're people who want to be involved, and they're the ones who are going to drive the future of young dentistry forward.
Okay. Any more? Michael, would you like to address the...
Yeah, so I had sort of questions come through. A very, very nice letter. It's anonymous, so I couldn't sort of reply to them there, but the question was really about they were hoping that I'd cover the current status of the pilot schemes. The best place to do that is with the BDA website. So the link I'll give you on the handout, go through there and they'll give you an idea of how things are developing and going forward, because I'm not involved with a pilot scheme, but there's different noises coming from different places, so you've got to make sure you get as much information as you can. Secondly, the likely outcome of the 2016 contract and their impact on associates and aspiring principals, it's too early to say. So once we have an idea of where the developments go with the pilots, then we'll know what the situation there will be. And what would you recommend for current dentists to start thinking about in view of the proposed changes? I mentioned about the 3 levels they're going to be looking at us at. Are we dentists who's basically just graduated and can do straightforward dentistry but nothing too challenging and will refer most things? Are you someone who's developed a special skill in a few things and you can do that? Or are you going to be someone who's a specialist who takes on only certain cases? I would say try and climb that ladder in some ways. I feel quite passionately that I'd like to be more involved with general dentistry. My sister's a specialist, and I didn't really want to go down the specialist route. That might change, but for now I quite enjoy general practice. I like seeing families and the whole members of the family and treating, the dentures of the grandparents. Hopefully no dentures for anyone younger, but sometimes there is. The kids and all that kind of stuff, preventive advice. I enjoy that. I don't want to be just doing one specialty, which is probably I didn't stay in Max Fax or anything because of that. So I would say add as many strings to your bow as you can, because then you will become so valuable to anyone who wants to hire you or anyone who wants to come to you for treatment.
Okay, right.
It's okay.
Well, on that note, can I just say thank you very much for your time? A little gift for you. If I can. There we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.